weird spooky story time. This one's called The Thing from the Basement. So this story comes from a Reddit user who says that their mom was really into demonic stuff when they were a kid. He said that their family had just gotten their first computer and his mom found one of those ritual things online, and she became obsessed with summoning rituals. It kind of involved red fluid and black candles. But she always claimed that nothing came of it. But from his perspective, something did. A few days after she performed a ritual in the kitchen, right next to his bedroom, by the way, something huge happened late that night. Everyone was asleep, and then there was a massive bang in the basement right below his bedroom. Then a minute later, it sounded like the plastic bins in their basement was being dragged across the concrete. His parents ran to his bedroom thinking that he was the one causing the noise. But he was sitting in bed, terrified. And the dragging sound happened again, with both his parents standing right there, seeing that he was not doing it. So his dad went downstairs to check, and what he found was impossible. 3 heavy plastic storage bins that do not have wheels, nothing that could roll, had been pushed all the way across the basement and were aligned right under the kid's bed. After that night, nothing moved in the basement again, but he says that something had changed. He said he started feeling constantly cold, even on hot days. He said his neighbor's dogs would bark at him, even from across the yard, and then they'd run away when he got close. He said he'd see shadows behind him in the bathroom mirror or in the hallway outside his room. He says the worst part is the part that never went away. He still always feels cold. He says he gets a cold sensation like something's wrapping its arms around his neck. He said all of this started after the basement incident, and that was 24 years ago. He said he never believed in ghosts until that night. He said his mom was so shaken by everything that had happened that she finally admitted what kind of rituals she was doing. He said that whatever his mom had summoned obviously did not show up for her, and likely attached to him instead. He says that whatever has been with him since then has never hurt him, that he's even actually got used to it. He said that sometimes his online friends will hear something in the background and be like, "Hey, did you say something?" And playfully he's always like, "Nope, it's probably just my ghost. He just wants to join the chat." I'm actually really surprised he's calling this a ghost, because this is not a ghost. Like, this sounds like something demonic, and just because it's not hurting you right now does not mean it's not lurking in the shadows, lying dormant, or waiting for some way or opportunity to pounce. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, or if any of you have stories like this, send it my way.
If it wasn't my mom that called me, then who was it? Spooky story time. A follower named Amy says that a few summers ago she was driving home to El Paso from Colorado, and she says that it was her and her sister and a few other passengers. They were driving along and it was about 10 p.m. They were listening to music, and out of nowhere she receives a phone call from her mom. So she was listening to music on Apple CarPlay. The music suddenly stops. She looks at the screen and it's her mom. She proceeds to answer the phone call, but she hears her mom kind of far away. It's not connected to the speaker. For some reason, the call is not connected to the speaker and it's still on the phone. And she can hear her mom saying, "Hello, hey, hello." So Amy is trying to drive and pick up the phone and say, "Hey, hold on, I can't hear you. Let me connect you to the radio." And for some reason, she was not able to connect.
Let's ensure that you never sleep again. Spooky story time. This one is short, but it's a story that I used to hear when I was a kid. Apparently, this used to happen to people in Haiti. What would you do if you lived alone, you left your house, and when you come back home, you find on your dining room table a fully cooked plate of food that you didn't cook? Story time. Basically, this man used to live with his family, but then, after his misconduct, he got kicked out and he winded up going to live by himself. So he got this little spot, perfect just for him. And keep in mind, this is a Haitian man and a Haitian old story. So dude himself knew about magic, he knew about voodoo and all that stuff. But every once in a while, you kind of have to let your guard down a little bit and just live. So where he lived, he didn't live very far from his baby mother and his family and stuff. So one day he gets up, he gets ready, gets...
Scary story time while I make slime, dying edition. Yeah. I don't know what grade I was in. I just know I was a kid, and this happened at Splash Kingdom. Get your money's worth. I didn't forget. So we went to this water park pretty often, and now the water park is unfortunately closed down, but yeah. So in the lazy river, there's this slide that kind of connects to the lazy river, and only VIP people could ride the slide, and they never had it on. It was rarely ever on, but this one specific time, it was on. The water coming down the water slide was this powerful force that just jolts everyone forward. Of course, everyone was being reckless and they were like getting in front of like the stream of water and they would just get pushed completely forward. So me, I was like, ooh, I want to try this, but I was low-key scared, right? So I remember I kind of stand in the way of the jet. I stand in the way of the freaking jet and it pushes me forward. Like, it does its job. When it pushes me forward, I slip and lose my balance and I'm just tossed. I'm literally just getting tossed like tumbleweed, just rolling like tumbleweed. So I'm like, this is the end of me. Like, this is the end of me. Y'all, I'm doing backflip after a backflip, looking at the sky, looking at the ground. It's like, I wish this would have happened differently. And I black out. And then I wake up sitting next to the lifeguard. And everyone's looking at me. And I just got up and walked away. They asked me if I'm okay, obviously. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine. What are y'all on? Drowning and surviving has to be one of the most embarrassing things that you could ever do. Because what the crap, you know? And the funny, sad thing is that I've drowned on multiple occasions and I can swim. So I think I can swim. Anyways, that is the story time of how I almost died at a water park. Oh yeah, y'all go watch my newest YouTube video since y'all been forcing me to post. Yeah. Okay, bye guys. Mwah.
Tonight's true scary story is so terrifying that cops actually had to get involved and come investigate this house because whatever was in this house was terrorizing this woman's children. As I have tried to film this like 5 times and had to redo it, like something does not want me to make this video. Protect yourselves in any way you see fit before and after this video. Also, before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the link is in my link tree in my bio where I tell scarier stories and longer versions of stories.
Just think about it. It's around 1 a.m. You just came from having fun, hanging out, clubbing with your friends, only for you to have to face yourself. Scary story time. Hey y'all, sorry.
I need to tell you guys this ghost story. The first real scary story is that I just finished the last episode of Heated Rivalry. Oh, you guys, I don't think I'll ever be okay again, if I'm being so completely honest. I am a mess. I'm a mess. I don't know. I've been crying all morning. My aunts and uncles found a Ouija board buried in their childhood home. What followed still freaks me out. Okay, let's get into it. I've never touched a Ouija board myself, and after hearing this story, I never will. This was told to me by an aunt, and it happened when my mom, aunts, and uncles were kids back when they lived in an old duplex in Utah. The building was already old. Both sides of the duplex shared a basement, and in that basement was a crawl space that connected the 2 units. It was low, dark, and dirt. Of course it was. Why is there a crawl space in the first place? Why is it called a crawl space? Don't crawl into that space. It was low, dark, and dirt floored, supported by thick wooden beams. My grandma had cleaned it out so the kids would have a place to play. Grandma, why would you do that? They spent a lot of time down there using their imaginations and treating it like their own hidden world. One day, while digging around near the back of the crawl space, they uncovered something buried in the dirt. A Ouija board. None of them knew where it came from. No one admitted bringing it down there. But they were kids, curious and bored, and they didn't really understand what it was, so they decided to play with it. Right. No, right. Of course, yeah. Only reasonable choice here. Of course. That didn't last long. My family is very Catholic, and my grandma found out what they were doing. She was furious. Grandma, you kind of created this problem. Like, grandma's a little bit to blame here. She didn't hesitate. She took the board away, cut it up into pieces, and threw it out, making sure it was completely gone. She made it very clear that they were never to mess with something like that again. A few days later, the kids went back into the crawl space to play like they always had. The space had been cleaned out before, and nothing new had been brought down there. But sitting on the dirt floor was a single piece of cardboard. It was part of the Ouija board. Printed on it was the letter I. There was no reason for it to be there. No way it should have survived being destroyed, and no explanation for how it could have made its way.
Story time on my holiday from hell. Okay, so I was just looking for my old videos, and I was looking at the comments, and everybody was asking me, can you do a story time on how your holiday went and what happened? Because I was like, I don't really know what I was saying, but I was saying like my holiday went bad or something. Okay, so let's start off. Right, so the plane lands, we're in Greece, all happy, it was baking hot.
So this person says This is, without a doubt, the scariest and most unexplainable thing that has ever happened to them. Creepy story time. So one Saturday night a few months ago, they attended a friend's birthday party. There were about 40 people in attendance, split between the basement and the main floor. They said they didn't go down into the basement, not even once, because the music down there was extremely loud and they hated that. They also said most of their friends were on the main floor anyway. They made mention that their best friend had given them a ride and they stuck together the entire night. So then a few days later, they had run into a distant friend that was also in attendance at that party. So this guy brings up the party and they're going back and forth about it, and then he gets his phone out to show them some pictures from the party. So get this, he gets to a photo that he took down in the basement with another girl, and
this story is 100% true. It is late 2003, and my friend and I, her name was AJ, my friend and I are at my house. I have a Furby. Everybody had a Furby, right? I have a Furby, and her and I are sitting at our kitchen table doing homework. And we can hear my Furby going off from my bedroom. But we're kind of like, that's weird. We're not in there. We're not playing with it, but fine. And as we continue to do homework, we're like, is it getting louder? What is going on? We get up from my kitchen table. We walk into the hallway. My Furby is in the hallway. And I say, did you put him there? Him, her, it, whatever. Did you put it there? And she's like, no. Did you? And I say, no, I have.
Scary story time at 5 in the morning, Appalachian Mountain edition. Whatever it's called, I don't know. So we're gonna call this woman, Tammy, and we're gonna call her husband Josh. Get your money's worth and let it drain. I'm not trying to make up this time because it is like 5 in the morning. Now, Tammy and her husband's anniversary was coming up, and she wanted to do something special for him, and she knew that he absolutely loved going hiking. Okay, can this open? Going hiking. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna take my man on a hiking trip. So she decided to take this man to a mountain called Black Mountain, and the locals were like,
let's read another scary Reddit story. I never really spoke to the guy next door, just gave the usual polite wave when we both checked our mailboxes. He seemed normal enough, maybe a bit quiet, always wearing the same gray hoodie. Things got weird about a week ago. I woke up around 3 a.m. to get some water and glanced out the kitchen window into his backyard. It was pitch black, but the motion sensor light flickered on. He was standing there, dead center on the grass, facing my house. He wasn't doing anything, just standing rigid with his arms at his sides. I watched him for about 20 minutes, and he didn't twitch once. It looked like he wasn't even breathing. The next night, he was there again, but closer. He was right up against the wooden fence that separates our properties.
Anyone ever hear about the Wendigo? Well, I've been doing a series on Rob, the search and rescue officer, and he has a story that might have something to do with that. This is going to be number 20 for the creepy search and rescue stories, and it comes from one of Rob's fellow search and rescue officers. For security purposes, we're going to call this guy Phil, and he tells a story not from his time on the job, but from when he was about 12 years old. So Phil says he grew up in Central Oregon, and there was a reservation 2 hours from where he lived called Warm Springs. Phil had this friend Nolan, and Nolan and Phil's families were camping around the area nearby to the reservation. The families actually camped in
When I was 13 or 14, we lived in a farmhouse. My room was really cold, so my mom had given me an old electric blanket. This particular night, I had fallen asleep with my electric blanket on, and I had a super vivid dream that I went up the stairs, up the old wooden stairs, and at the top of the stairs, every single cat I've ever owned was just sitting there. And I lived on a farm, so we had a lot of farm cats come and go. I've had house cats, and every single one was all just sitting there at the top of the stairs. And at the front was my first cat ever with the very original name, Fluffy. And Fluffy...
Imagine finding a coffin buried underneath your land. Spooky story time. A follower named Rachel sent me this story, and we're going to call it The Coffin. Rachel says that growing up, her grandparents took care of her while her mom worked, so she spent a lot of time at her grandparents' house. So she says that one time her grandpa stated that while he was building the other side of the house, he was digging to add some more plumbing pipes and he hit something hard. He started digging around it because he was afraid that it was maybe some plumbing pipes or something. Come to find out that he finds a small coffin buried. He did not want to open this can of worms, so what did he do? He put dirt back over it, ignored it, and finished building the house on top of that. And it was at that moment that all of the freaky stuff started to happen. She says that she was asleep in the room, and out of nowhere she wakes up to 3 knocks on her window. She wakes up, she looks around, and she's like, okay, who's knocking at the window? And it wasn't right away that she realized that this could have been impossible because the window is a little bit over 7 feet above the ground. She hears a voice talking and she recognizes it clearly. It's her tia Ruby's voice. The voice is saying, Rachel, wake up, let me in. She responds and she's like, who is this?
When you think of a grandmother, hopefully you think warmth, someone that cherishes you and someone that you cherish and love forever. Someone that gives you anything you want, right? But unfortunately, not all grandparents are great.
So I just got my first haunted doll story and I'm freaking out. Spooky story time. A follower named Kayla sent me the story and we're going to call it The Haunted Doll. So Kayla says that she is an avid thrifter. She loves thrift stores, estate sales, yard sales, anything within that realm, she is game. She also says that she loves to collect porcelain dolls, similar to this one. So she went to an estate sale and she said that there was a few porcelain dolls. They were a little bit pricey, but she came across one that she could not say no to. For some reason, this doll was just calling her name. She checked the price, and although it was in an estate sale, it was $75. She does say that vintage porcelain dolls tend to be a little bit more expensive, so she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna bite the bullet.
I need to tell you guys this ghost story. My demonic encounter. No. It happened when I was about 13 or 14 at a religious camp. Of course it did. Where else? Even now, whenever I tell this story in real life, I still get full body chills.
Let's read another scary story that was sent to us. This happened when I was about 8 years old. I'm 16 now. I was on my bedroom floor drawing. My parents were on the other side of the house in the kitchen. I heard a faint voice behind me say, "What a beautiful drawing." I looked back thinking it was my grandma, even though I didn't hear her open my door. When I looked back, I saw nothing. I sat there for a while, trying to think about what just happened. Then I ran to my parents saying, "There's a ghost in my room." My parents didn't believe me, of course. Later that night, I was playing with some toys, as a kid would. After a while, it was time for me to go to bed, so I put my toys away where I could remember where they were. I woke up in the middle of the night, hearing something or someone, almost like looking for something. I had a loft bed at the time, so I looked over the railing, but I couldn't really see anything because it was dark. When I woke up the next day, I saw that my toys that I had put away the night before were moved. I knew that no one from my family was in my room because my door was really loud, so I would hear it if someone opened it and came in. Nothing happened the day after, but I still didn't want to sleep in my room, so I slept in my parents' room. I was facing my room because my parents' room was right next to mine, so if they had the door open, you could see into my room. When I was laying there trying to sleep, I got a weird feeling, so I opened my eyes. I saw a dark figure standing in the doorway to my room, staring right at me. Every night that I slept in my parents' bed, I could see that dark figure standing there. I will say, this is very creepy, but it almost, maybe to me,
Spooky Haitian story time. If you want to hear about how the spirit of the night came after my uncle, this is the story time for you. So in Haiti, we have an entity called Met Nuit. And Met Nuit would translate to owner of the night. Well, my uncle had an encounter and this is how it went. So my uncle used to work for the police force in Haiti. But one day there were 2 police cars patrolling this particular neighborhood in Haiti, right down the block from a Catholic church. Now it's very late at night, it's dark outside, it's probably approaching 12 a.m. It was 2 cars like I mentioned, so my uncle was in the first car and behind them was another car.
After a month of not having a voice and being sick, I'm back. But I almost died. Oh my god, I almost died. Anyway, what would you do if your house was being haunted by a little girl? Okay, so this story comes from La Sociedad Secreta podcast. And it's called La Historia de Terror de mi Hermanita, which translates to the terror story with my sister. And yes, I'm translating this from Spanish to English, so if you want to go listen to it in Spanish, go check them out. Okay, so this story starts out.
One of our creepy Storytime family members shared this story with me, and she said that anytime she has ever tried to tell anybody, nobody has believed her and they've made her feel so alone. Creepy story time. Now, this is a long one, so this is part 1. She said she'd like to remain anonymous, but she'll probably be checking the comments if you want to leave your input there. This story takes place a few years back when she was 16, just about to turn 17. She is 20 now. For the sake of the story, let's call her Natalie. Natalie had just started an ILS position, which if you don't know what that means, it's just somebody that works with people who have cognitive or physical disabilities. Natalie said that typically somebody at her age at the time would not have gotten a position like this, especially with the company it was for, but her mom worked at the office there and so did her.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
Let's do a little scary story time, shall we? About a month or so ago, I posted a video that was titled, "By Talking About the Paranormal, Are You Inviting Things In?" I'd gotten numerous questions about it, and basically in the video I go into detail about how I believe that no, you're not inviting things in as long as you have set boundaries and like you know what you're doing, right? Well, in the video, I did go into detail about how I have been experiencing a few things, so I figured I'd give you guys an update about them. So, in short, I had been experiencing like knocks around my house. These knocks are still continuing. It's different from the sound of a house settling. It literally sounds like somebody is going up to the wall and knocking like hard. Kind of like you would do to get someone's attention, I guess. These knocks are singular knocks. And usually it'll happen, I'll hear it but not acknowledge it, and then it happens again. If I'm in my living room, it will happen on the wall, on the ceiling, randomly. This isn't like a constant thing, it'll just randomly pop up, and in the hallway right outside the living room. I've also heard it in my bedroom, it'll like hit the edge of my desk, just randomly. Then I also talked about how I have been touched while trying to go to sleep. And it just so happens that this happened to me again last night. I was laying in my bed. It was probably 2:30 a.m., just like last time. I'm laying there. My dog is at the end of my bed. I'm sleeping next to my husband. And it literally feels like, at first it feels like somebody has like put their hand on the mattress. So like I can feel it sink down. Not necessarily somebody sitting full weight, but just like, you know, pressing. And then it happens and I feel somebody grab my leg and squeeze. I ignored it. Whatever. It happens again, literally not even a minute later, where I feel the same pressure of somebody squeezing my leg. I usually don't react to these types of things. I like to think that it is my grandfather checking in on me. Because I have, you know, when I was little, he used to tuck me in before I went to sleep and literally like shove the comforter up under my legs and stuff like that. And before he would go, he would always like squeeze my leg like, good night. And so I think that's him. Now, I will say I've also experienced orbs flying in and out a lot in my videos. And I'm not a big person, like a supporter of orbs, if you will. I think that most of the time they can be explained, whether it's, you know, lens issues or bugs. Because a lot of the time, bugs will fly in front of a light and they almost look transparent, but usually you can kind of tell the difference. These are full-on orbs and I don't know where they come from, but they will swipe in and swipe out every time, just like this. Same pattern. It's happened in most of my videos, but usually it's a part that I end up cutting out and shortening the clip anyway, so I don't really pay that much attention to it. It did happen yesterday, and also while filming yesterday I was using my light and the light started to blink like a strobe light. Very strange, right? Check the battery, full battery on the light, so there's no reason why it should be strobing, but that happened first, and so I was like, okay, maybe my light's just like glitching out because technology, right? Then the orb flew in the camera right after I said that, and I was like, maybe someone's messing with me. Again, my house is kind of old, and the land that my house sits on was a known area where, you know, the Civil War took place. So, I mean, there have been times where we've been outside and we've seen like shadows in the field and like things like that. But nothing ever super scary. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced any of these things before and how you dealt with it. But until next time, stay close to the light.
Let's ensure that you never sleep again. Spooky story time. This one is short, but it's a story that I used to hear when I was a kid. Apparently, this used to happen to people in Haiti. What would you do if you lived alone, you left your house, and when you come back home, you find on your dining room table a fully cooked plate of food that you didn't cook? Story time. Basically, this man used to live with his family, but then, you know, after his misconduct, he got kicked out.
All right, real life scary spooky story time. So this was years ago when I met my wife. She was a marathoner. She had already had like 17, 18, 26.2 mile marathons under her belt. And she and I started going out because we both like to exercise. And so she said, hey, why don't you start running with me in this runners group? It's called the Road Runners, and they practice during the on season for the Los Angeles Marathon. And we run down across the beach at Venice Beach in Southern California. Now, anybody who's ever been down to Venice Beach, you know that this place is a dump. Like, I don't know why people like going down there so much. It is nasty. It is ugly. But here's what was happening.
This is the story time about the time I hid in my best friend's closet while her mom attempted to unalive her. So I know that some people are going to question if this story is real, and that's fine. It is 100% real. It's a very real situation that happened, and it's still something that has affected me to this day. If you see me looking down, it's just because I wrote all of my notes on my laptop so that I can have that to reference. If you feel like this story might be triggering for you based on the title, then just, you know, go ahead and skip. So, this story started in high school about 12 years ago. I was a junior, and I started hanging out with...
Just think about it. It's around 1 in the morning. You just came from having fun, hanging out, clubbing with your friends, only for you to have to face yourself. Scary story time. Hey y'all, sorry it's been so long. My life has literally been flipped upside down, but I love and appreciate you guys for the patience. So there's this girl, let's call her Marissa. She got off of work around like 5 p.m. and her best friend hits her up like, hey girl, let's go outside. It's Friday, let's go out. She's like, bet, we're out.
Story time, spooky edition, again. What? What is that? Oh, it's my skeleton. He likes to play with my hair. I don't mind. Now, what I'm about to tell you is a true story. It actually happened to me. About 10 years ago, I worked at a store called Belk in North Carolina. I worked in the men's department. And as you can imagine, a woman working in the men's department, I've seen and heard it all. On this particular day, I was ringing up this guy that I had been helping. He was tall. He had tattoos. He had an Irish accent. Say less. We had some small talk. I rang his items up and he left. Or so I thought. I finished with the customers that were behind him, and then I turned around when I was finished, and there he was, to my surprise. He says, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Of course. Yes.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen. Did the window break?
This scary story is so disturbing that in the middle of reading it, I literally had to set my phone down and be like, Lord's Prayer. I highly suggest you do the same thing. Before we start, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my... because we don't know what's going on with TikTok right now, and you guys, that is where I'm going to be. I will look into the other app that starts with my favorite color, which is... but for now, it's So get over there. The link is in my bio. Okay, let's get started. The submitter of the story wanted to remain anonymous, so we're just gonna call her Ashley, but she will be in the comments. So Ashley lived in Blanchard, Oklahoma, but her husband, and her 2 daughters needed to move into a bigger house, so they actually moved to Dibble, Oklahoma. So when Ashley and her family were going to look at this house, she brought her grandmother and her father in order to go check it out. And she said that in order to get to this house, you had to drive through a pasture. And the pasture led into a bunch of wooded area. So her husband absolutely loved this because he liked to hunt. So her father and her husband were both like, yes, we are definitely getting this house. This is amazing. But she felt something right away that was off about the house. And she immediately told her grandmother, like, look, I don't want to live in this house. I don't like the feeling that I'm getting from this house. And her grandmother was like, it's going to be okay. Just ignore it. Like, it'll be fine. We're going to fix up the house. It's going to look beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful home. This is a dream home for you guys. And she was like, okay. Now, Ashley said that after they moved in the house, things would happen that they couldn't explain. Like, they would hear sounds that they couldn't explain. They were constantly feeling like they were being watched, but it was nothing major. And one day her husband's mother was watching their children while they were out on a date. All of a sudden, her husband's mother randomly calls her and asks her the strangest question. She asks her what her grandfather looked like. Now, mind you, her grandfather had already passed away. So Ashley is like, I don't know. She tells her what he looks like. And she goes, yeah, I just saw him standing outside in the backyard, and I had a jacket on the table. And after I saw him standing outside in the backyard, all of a sudden the jacket flew off the table. Now, Ashley said that when she was hearing these sounds that she couldn't explain prior,